very good day to you. Welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jadel Kabir. It is such a pleasure to have you joining us once again for political conversation, a conversation we hope will help our political leaders in making better policy decisions and informed political moves. I'm here with the Prof. Hi, great to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm okay.
You're fine?
Fine, and thank God.
Chilly weather in Nairobi.
No, that's why we have fire.
That's why we have fire.
Yes.
Conversation for today comes from what we're seeing in the nation. Things are falling apart for William Ruto.
Why?
Everything is in crisis, from the health sector to the education sector. Lecturers are in strike. The economy is not doing as well as they're telling us. The conversation they're telling us, the communication that is coming from State House is not the conversation people want to hear. Would you say things are actually falling apart?
Well, I think as you mentioned, it's a question of communication. And I can see myself getting a job soon. Yeah. It's a question of communication. Like I've said before, the global outlook is bad. Most of these problems are global. Most of these issues can be explained away. And people can understand them. But government is weak on communication, to be very polite to them. I can tell you, if you look at the problems bedeviling this country, you can divide them in roughly 2 or 3. And you'll find a big chunk of the problems, one chunk, is actual global in nature. There are very few countries in the world today which can be said to be smiling through the economy. Very few. The challenges we are facing are very global in nature. You can find them in any corner of the world. So sometimes the problem is how people understand and perceive. Sometimes it is the mitigation that people can see. That whereas there are problems, government is doing something about those problems.
But you look
so
at
that's one chunk.
Yeah.
Of course, then there are other problems that are there because of bad politics. So you see, if you have a problem because of bad politics, and that means you don't even need money to fix the problem. You just need to tweak the politics a bit. So things are not, I'm trying to say, things are not as bad as they look.
You know, Kenyans would listen to you and say,
Yes.
yeah, you want that job. Because look,
Yes.
lecturers are in strike.
Correct. What is it a big problem? You know how much they are demanding?
7%,
What are you talking about?
10%.
No, I'm even talking about in absolute terms, in money terms.
Not percentages.
They are struggling about 4.3 billion. At the very best, 9 billion, 8 point something or 9 billion. Is that money you can allow lecturers to go on strike for? The loss to the parents, to business communities within the educational sector ecosystem is beyond that money. So these are not problems. What I'm trying to say, they are not problems. Yeah.
So
They are petty minor issues.
then why isn't government fixing these petty minor issues? Then it's not about communication. Maybe it's about government not being able to perform what Kenyans expect them to perform. Could this be the case? If there are minor issues, why are lecturers on strike?
You know, communication is not just talking to people. It's also knowing what people are saying. It's also understanding the situation. Yeah. So government may not understand what's going on.
Okay.
Even government may think it's a lot of money. Sometimes people just don't know what they are going through. Once they get to know, it becomes a simple issue.
Then where is the failure then? Is it failure in the advisors or failure in the implementers? You listen to Moses Kuria talking about Catholic Church, says the Catholic Church is right. If you think they are not right, go to rule number 1, which is the Catholic Church is always right.
Who is that now?
Moses Kuria.
Yes.
Is the Catholic Church right when it comes to condemning this government? Says, look, they don't know what they're doing.
Catholic Church is just talking like everybody else is talking. They're just pointing at things which we all know. There's nothing, has anybody said anything new? You have just said lecturers are on strike, and I'm telling you the government is having a problem paying 4.3 billion. They have had to generate us a circular, not money, a circular, a letter of comfort that we shall make available 4.3. That's laughable. 4.3 billion.
Then all eyes now are on the CS for Treasury, John
Yeah,
Badi.
yes.
Says we are losing a lot on corruption, advises those who
Look,
are
here he
still
stands and tells Kenyans, we are losing 2 billion per day. If we could reduce that,
Yeah.
we lose only 1 billion. You see what there is lack of seriousness, which is born out of not knowing the gravity of the situation.
Then I go back to my first question. Are things falling apart? Are we looking at the imminent fall of Ruto's administration? Because communication, they have talked about communication, I think, for a year now. The president actually admitted that they don't know how to communicate. Does this mean things are falling apart?
You know, when you say things are falling apart, I'm a little, I want to be a little cautious.
Yeah.
You know, it's like things are collapsing. This is a very resilient economy. We are a fragile economy, I know that. But we are not anywhere near where failed states have been. But that's what Kenyans seem to be saying, if I hear them right.
Yeah.
It's like we are almost becoming a failed state. And that on the economic front, we are getting where is, you know, Argentina, Cyprus, you know,
Even Greece.
Greece. And we are not anywhere near that. No, things are bad, but they are not where people are saying they are. In other words, what I'm saying, we are at a point where government only needs to be serious. How do they become serious? They become serious the moment they realize they are not listening to the people. If they listen to the people, if the president listens less to the people who surround him, who are, you see, people may not believe this thing. But I'm telling you, when you are in the thick of things, like if you are a president, people build a wall around you. You may think you are smart, but within a very short time, you can't see anything. The wall around you can't allow you to see. So what some presidents have done and world leaders is to break that wall.
Okay.
That's why you see when a government gets to where our government was in June this year, the first thing they normally do, and that's like I kept saying, is to reorganize government. Reorganization of government brings fresh air. It creates new perspectives. You see things that you are not seeing. And those you are seeing, you begin to see them differently. And that's all you may need to change everything.
I'm sure there's someone in the comments saying, but he reorganized post-Gen
He
Z
didn't.
protests.
He didn't. The president tried to be clever. You remember I warned them. These are not things over which you can be clever and make smart moves. No. These are things that are so simple. The problems were and still are both economic and political. The risks and the cost must be weighed against the economic, financial risks and the political risks. Were there any political risks in reorganizing government? There was nothing. All these politicians can be sent home. You can send all ministers with the minimal political risk to you. In other countries, you touch somebody and your government crumbles. In a manner in which, for example, you have crafted your government, you have assembled your government. Look at Israel. In parliamentary systems where to survive, you need the support of one or two other political parties. If you touch them, that's the political risk. Did we have any such a risk here? You can send anybody home. Linturi is at home. No, people have forgotten. Most Sekuri had gone home. Yeah. People just forget. Where is Owalo? People just forget.
How about now? Can you touch John Badi? Can you touch?
You just tell him Badi to go home. Nothing will happen. There is no political risk to the president if he were to make a move that will amount to removing certain people or reorganizing his government. In terms of the financial cost, you are just talking about lecturers. The government is talking about 4.3 billion. Is that money you can allow to soil your name?
There's healthcare.
It's a question of not understanding how small things like lecturer strikes, strike and other things eventually could get you out of power. So you don't understand. The amount, less than 10 billion. You get it? So even the finance bill, how much was it bringing in? 340 billion shillings.
Talk to me about healthcare.
Healthcare.
NHIF shift now.
Because those are the games people are playing. You see, it is not that they were transiting to something entirely new that required new structures. These are just games for people to make a little shilling, one more, shilingi kumi hapa, billion tano hapa. But if you realize that this thing can crush your government, you can easily pull out.
Then
Moi was very good at pulling out. Yeah, they should go back and see how Moi was working around these problems. Akiona imekuwa moto kana pull out. Yeah.
Talk to me now about tomorrow's State of the Nation address. Everyone is expecting the president to speak to Kenyans about what they have done so far, what the future looks like. What is the expectation from the president?
Nothing. No, since the new constitution started, that demands the state of address, the state of the nation address from the president. Only one excited people. The one Uhuru came up, was it the first or the second?
I think the first one.
In which he stuck. We were like, hey, what is that? What is Uhuru saying? About corruption and hey, people, we took him serious. It amounted to nothing later. So since then, I've never had any other. So I'm not expecting anything. It'll be the usual rambling, the disjointed. You know, the way speech writers have always worked in this country. The agriculture sector brings a part on the agriculture.
Yeah.
Una join na ile education. Then another one comes from industrial. You join the pieces. They are not even, you know, there's no transition.
There's no flow.
They are disjointed. And then you say you have given a speech. Even the Constitution itself is very clear about what issues you need to talk about. And that's why the Uhuru speech was very exciting, because it was right to the point in terms of the constitutional demands on the president during that state of affairs. Since then, it's just the usual rambling.
Finally, if you're the president, you see that headline on The Nation, things are falling apart. What is that thing that you would do?
If I was the president,
Yeah.
first of all, things would not have gotten where they are. I would have fixed them long time ago. Because like I've told you, and I must keep repeating this, because I must keep saying this, I love this country. We don't have a problem in this country. There are countries which have problems, really problems. To attempt to solve the problems, even just to attempt, even to conceptualize the problem itself, they are not easy. We don't have a problem in this country. Have you ever seen a problem here? Even financially.
So it's just the willingness of our leaders to
Government is not even being asked to pay people well. Lecturers are on strike because of 7%, which amounts to like 3, 4, 5, 6 billion shillings. It's unbelievable. If lecturers were demanding salaries, and I'm one of them, the demand on government would be something in the region of about maybe 60 billion extra on the education sector. Extra just to make the salaries look like salaries, not even to pay us. So 4 billion. Don't you think we are jokers?
Well, what a conversation. Things are falling apart. What do you think? Leave a comment down below.
Things are not falling apart.
I'm saying let the viewers be a little bit cautious. If you're not as cautious as Prof, leave a comment down below. What do you think the president should do? Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.